Peace, family. This is Lion Deal with another news and commentary. This article is from the Chicago NBC5. Breaking down the Van Dyke trial, possible outcomes. It has been almost 50 years since a Cook County jury convicted a Chicago police officer of first-degree murder. But when the 8 women and 4 men who will decide the fate of Jason Van Dyke retire to the jury room and begin their deliberations, they will be left with few choices. Van Dyke now faces 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of official misconduct in connection with the 2014 killing of LaQuan McDonald. There are also 16 counts of aggravating battery, one of each shots fired at a 17-year-old on October 20th. Jurors will have to make a possible paying decision about whether Van Dyke's actions rose to the level of murder, something other juries around the country have found difficult to do. If convicted, Van Dyke could face up to life in prison. If jurors find him not guilty on the first-degree murder charges, their next and more lenient option will be to convict the 13-year-old veteran of the lesser charges of aggravated battery. They could also choose to convict on some charges and not others. Such a choice relieves some of the burden on jurors, but still give prosecutors a conviction that could result in significant jail time for Van Dyke. If the jury cannot agree on the verdict, they will tell the judge, who will likely tell them to try again before he declares a mistrial. If that happens, the prosecution has the option to refile some or all of the charges against Van Dyke. A new jury will be picked and a second trial will be held. The jury also could find Van Dyke not guilty on all charges, a complete acquittal. If that happens, he will walk free. Defense attorney Dan Herbert is taking a risk by relying on 12 men and women to decide to Van Dyke's fate. He could have bypassed a jury entirely and chose a bench trial where only the judge hears the evidence and makes the ruling. That would have minimized the emotional impact of seeing a teenager shot 16 times on dash cam video, images that have been repeated over and over again during the trial. Van Dyke's defense relies on specific Illinois law and gives peace officers wide latitude on the use of deadly force. A bench trial would have left the legal decision solely in the hands of the judge. The decision about a jury trial created much of the drama that preceded the first testimony. Judge Vincent Gahn waited until the last minute after a Cook County jury had been selected to rule on a defense motion to move the trial out of Chicago. His decision, based on the answers given the jury selection process, set the stage for a high-profile trial in Chicago, while defense attorneys argued that Van Dyke deserved a fair trial by a jury of his peers. The prosecution said the community also deserves a fair trial that it could observe and monitor. In preparation for the trial, the large parkways in front of the courthouse at 26th in California were fenced off and set aside for protesters. For the most part, those protesters have failed to materialize. Trial observers said there may be a good reason for that. In the wake of the McDonald shooting video being made public, protesters made a number of demands of the city, much of what they called for since come to pass. Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy was fired by Mayor Rahm Emanuel. State's Attorney Anita Alvarez has been replaced by Kim Foxx. In the days before the trial was set to begin, Emanuel announced he would not run for re-election. The Justice Department has investigated and issued a report on the Chicago Police Department. There is now a consent decree in place that will monitor the department's behavior, McDonald's great-uncle said. Actions speak louder than words. At the end of the day, show me, Reverend Martin Hunter said Thursday. Show me. Let's make this happen for real. Let's not make it a symbol to calm the people down. Let's make it a reality. There have also been repeated requests for calm and reason to prevail no matter what the verdict the jury reaches. The family of LaQuan McDonald and the faith community that support them have called for prayer for justice. Van Dyke supporters and the Fraternal Order of Police have also called for prayers. Will Calloway, the activist who had been at the forefront of the McDonald case, has appealed to Chicago gang members to lay down their guns and pick up his call for social justice. Finally, the Attorney General's office has scheduled a town hall meeting on the police department consent decree at the church of McDonald's great uncle. Community activist and Cardinal Cupich has been invited to attend. To be safe, however, Chicago police and fire have been planned for the possibility of large protests following the jury's verdict, no matter what they decide. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, you notice that no mainstream media, not even fellow YouTubers, didn't even cover this story. And now we don't even know what the outcome is going to be. So again, I'm going to be the first and exclusive person that can really tell you what's going on with the LaQuan McDonald trial. Now, if Van Dyke's lawyer has decided to get a bench trial, it's all over with, because the judge is going to decide it. And you know how these bench trials work, that they always go for the police officer and they acquit these police officers. That's how the bench trials work. So we hope in this case that either if he found guilty of first-degree murder, that's life in prison. If he basically served a lesser charge, he's still serving prison time, but I mean, he'd probably be on parole for a couple of years. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we have to understand what this case really means. Now, I got a feeling that this case is going to be a bench trial. And this is what happens when you basically, and then you already say that the lawyers, Van Dyke's attorney, wants a change of venue, which means that really, if that happens, they claim that, well, they need a quote-unquote a fair trial. But it's not going to be a fair trial because really the family of LaQuan McDonald wants justice. So at the end of the day, that's all they want. Now, the reaction of the outcome is going to be very different. So I will keep you posted on what the decision will make. And like I said, the mainstream media ain't posting this story. Fellow YouTubers ain't posted this story. I'm the first and only exclusive person will post this story. So I will continue coverage on any in anything that's happening. I will, if anything happens with the LaQuan McDonald case, with the Van Dyke situation, I would keep you posted on that. So in the meantime, this is Lions Den signing off. Deuces.